What is up? Happy Thursday, everybody. I say happy Thursday because depending on where you live, you got half a day and then Friday. Thank God, weekend is almost here. Hey, SEC Media Days just wrapped up a few minutes ago. Josh Heupel, Tennessee, was the last coach. We're going to go over some of the things these coaches said the last few days, last 4 days actually. Got some news items. We're going to get started on those. Before we start, hit that little subscribe button down there so you don't miss anything. Listen to it at work. Hey, listen to it tomorrow at work. Who the hell wants to work on Friday anyway? So, anyway, get to some news first. This Northwestern thing just keeps going crazy. I root for Northwestern. I was a fan. Well, I don't know what to say if I am a fan or was a fan of Pat Fitzgerald, because the more stuff that comes out, it's just like, seriously. So, here are the latest in the Northwestern saga. So, we all know Northwestern fired Pat Fitzgerald over hazing allegations last week. Now, baseball coach Jim Foster, he's been fired over bullying. There are lawsuits flying everywhere. Here's the latest. Now, ex-players are speaking out about some of the things that went on there at Northwestern. Ex-running back Warren Miles Long, who played there from 2013 to 2017, said several violent assaults and sexual assaults were rampant all through that locker room. Lloyd Yates, quarterback and wide receiver, he played there 2015 to 2017, said, "We were thrown into a culture where physical, emotional, and sexual abuse was normalized." He also said school's culture was especially devastating for many players of color. Fitz's attorney, Dan Webb, disputes all claims and statements former players have made. One of the lawsuits filed is against ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips, who was Northwestern's athletic director from 2008 to 2021. One attorney representing former athletes said it's not just football, but several other sports. We just saw baseball. The baseball coach got fired. And the entire athletic department has been present in all this going on. So, man, it's like every day something else comes out. Man, whenever you got something big like this, some big tragic scandal, remember Penn State several years ago? It's just like every day something keeps snowballing out. So this is going to go on for a while. I would imagine eventually there's going to be penalties from Big Ten and NCAA. Because they're not going to just let this go away. Something's going to be done. As they say, stay tuned. It remains to be seen. All the other stuff that's probably going to come out here in the next several months. And then Northwestern, they've got media days next week. It's going to be interesting to see the questions that are thrown there. And then, of course, they start fall practice here in a couple weeks. So not a good time to be a Northwestern fan, player, student, because next few months are going to be tough. Really, really tough. Moving on, Pac-12 will not announce media rights deal this week. Evidently, there's some new bidders to broadcast Pac-12 sporting events. So they're going to put it off until they get someone. So, NIL reform. A trio of U.S. senators have drafted legislation that aims to create a uniform national law for how college athletes can make money and also pushes many schools to provide more health care benefits for athletes, which that's cool. But, as I said before and I've said again, these morons in Washington can't even run a country right. These high-ass gas prices, groceries, my God, food that keeps us alive, that stuff's sky high. All kinds of problems in this country. They can't even fix those, and we think they're going to fix NIL. To me, all they're going to do is put their hand in there, stir it up, and screw it up even more. A coffee table could come up with a better plan than these yo-hos that we elect to. So why they're even bothering these idiots with this stuff, I don't know. You figure all the conferences would get together or something, the heads get together and figure it out themselves instead of getting all these idiots involved. So nothing good can come of it when Congress gets involved. I think we've all seen that through our lives. So why they're even bothering with this, I don't know. But it's news. So I'll put it out there. Hey, December 20th, Baylor and Duke will play at Madison Square Garden. They haven't played each other since the Elite Eight game of 2010 tournament. Duke and Baylor, that should be pretty good. December 20th, hey, right before Christmas. You may even be off that week, so you can sit and watch it, because who knows, maybe in the afternoon. But yeah, that would be a pretty good one. Duke and Baylor, December 20th at Madison Square Garden. Last bit of news, it just came down just a few hours ago, actually. The CAA, Colonial Athletic Association, they have changed their name to the Coastal Athletic Association. Why? I don't know. Never saw a reason why. A lot of reasons people give out there on Twitter, though. So you can go read why they think the Colonial Athletic Association has changed their name to Coastal Athletic Association. So anyway, all right, so going back to Monday, day one, started off like it always does with Greg Sankey. He made some statements. So this isn't what everybody said. It's just key things that kind of stuck out that I wrote down. In case some of you didn't see it, some of you did see it, or whatever. All right, so Greg Sankey, he starts off Media Days on Monday. He says, Media Days is going to move around to different locations. Remember all them years it was in Hoover, Alabama, same town as the SEC headquarters, and then they've gone to Atlanta a couple times and Nashville. Well, it's going to move around. Next year, it's going to be Dallas. It's going to be right up the road from me. So, yeah, next year, Media Days, SEC 2024, going to be in Dallas. Praise Nashville. He's loved everything that they've done for SEC Media Days. One cool thing he did, this is really, really cool. Remember the school shooting back in, what was that, December, January? And remember the video we saw of all the police officers that went in, took care of the situation? Yeah, he called those officers up on stage and recognized them. That was pretty cool. And if you haven't seen that video for some reason, man, those guys, the way they went in there and took care of that situation. Yeah, there's some kids lost. Was there like 3 or 4 or 5 kids that were killed by that lunatic? But man, the way they went in there, got over there and took care of that situation before it got worse, that was incredible. I would never have the balls to do that, but this shows you how awesome those police officers were. So he called them on stage and recognized them. That was really, really cool. Praise student athletes. Gave stats of all the SEC players drafted to the pros. Talked about 2023. How's the last year? This year is the last year of 14 SEC teams. Last year for the 14 playoff. Last year for 2 divisions. I'm not sure how I feel about getting away with divisions. Pac-12 did it. Big Ten's doing it. SEC. I kind of like the East and West. You got 2 divisions of races in each conference. So I'm not really, I don't know. I know things change, but I kind of wish, division would stick around. But that's just me. Some people don't like divisions. But anyway, they'll be gone after this year. Says NIL does have drawbacks, unfulfilled promises, and commitments. And he even named some. He said there's kids that some whatever booster or business owner is saying, hey, come to my school and I'll pay you this amount of money and you can promote my product and play for my school. And then they get there and there's no money there for them. They were lied to. So that's to me, that's seriously wrong. Probably ought to charge those people with some kind of crime because these kids are, So anyway, yeah, he wants to do something about that. Still have a lot of problems between the NCAA, state laws, and conferences over NIL, which I think we all knew that. Let's see what else he said. Said he hasn't met a student athlete that wants to be an employee of a university. Remember there's talk about that? Making players employees of universities and paying them. He says he hasn't met a student athlete that shows any interest in that. So that may be a dead subject. Who knows? Said people who gamble on college sports. This one's kind of a no-brainer. People who gamble on online college sports need protection from threats from undesirable individuals. Yeah, it's kind of a given, but hey, anytime you make a bet, that's outside of a casino, that's what you deal with. You get down and can't pay, hey, you may have some knees broken. You know how these people work. SEC football and basketball championship games. As for right now, football is not moving from Atlanta, and basketball is not moving from Nashville. They really like them there now, so which I don't have a problem with that. But you know what would be cool is Big 12 used to do this. They would move it around. It's Dallas a few years, came down to San Antonio, went to San Antonio, came down the road here to Houston, Kansas City, St. Louis. It used to move around until Jerry locked it in for, freaking 2 decades. It'd be nice to see the SEC championship game do that, wouldn't it? Go from Atlanta to, New Orleans, up to Dallas, other places so other people get a chance to go see it and not have to travel so far. That'd be pretty cool, but it's not going to happen right now. He said, with the rule changes, adjustments will have to be made along the way, but we must keep the game moving. The head of officiating was on yesterday. Yeah, I think it was yesterday. I figured we would hear from him because we've heard from him before in the past. Usually Commissioner Sankey would come on, and then the head of officiating would come on and go for rule changes and all that. But no, they didn't give him any airtime. Saw him talking back there in the background when the ESPN people were at their desk. You could see the guy back there talking in the background. But we didn't get to hear from him. So, but anyway, yeah. He's kind of said, going to have to make adjustments, but we got to keep the game moving. He actually said there's been talk, going back to the division thing, there actually has been talk about eliminating divisions since 2018, but they wanted to make it fair and balanced, so they just never really did anything about it. I guess Texas and Oklahoma coming in, that finally convinced everybody, hey, let's just do it. All right, so that was Greg Sankey. First coach up Monday, LSU coach Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly says, foundation of success is built in consistency. Proud of what we have done in a short time. I was impressed last year. When he came on, I figured they were going to win 8 games. Hey, good season 9. Had no idea they would beat Alabama. Had no idea they would make it to the SEC championship game, which didn't work out for them too well. But, I was surprised. I didn't think they would do what they did last year. But evidently, he said he's a little surprised too because he says he got like a steps for success, and he didn't think they would be that far up the steps, but they were. Says he's got a lot more knowledge of the SEC in year 2. Yeah, I can see that. Success in classroom transfers to success on the field. Yeah, I would agree with that. You can do better in the classroom, gives you better confidence, so you can go out on the field and make some plays. He says we're moving in the right direction, but we do need to get better. Need to get off the field on 3rd down this year. Didn't do that last year a lot. A lot of 3rd down conversions on that defense. If they continue to recruit like they have, they can compete with the Georgias. I think just about every coach says with that one. Says Daniels is the starting quarterback, but he has to continue to progress. A lot of coaches asked about AI this year, in case you didn't see it. How will AI affect recruiting and game planning, even game planning and all that? He says, AI could possibly help in game planning and recruiting. That's all he said about that. Proud of the trust and hard work the kids gave last year after the Tennessee game. Remember, Tennessee just totally smoked them. But he said the kids still trusted their vision, what they wanted this team to be. They worked hard, and as you saw, the rest of the season went a lot better than it did before and at that Tennessee game. Keep players short focused and 1 week at a time to deal with a tough schedule. Don't ever have them look ahead. Concentrate on one game at a time, no matter how tough the schedule is, and you can get through it. Oh boy, next up was my hero, Jimbo Fisher. I really want to hit the mute button or change the channel while he's on because I just don't give a crap anymore. Everything comes out of his mouth. Like I said, I had a toe on the Jimbo train, but it's pretty much fallen off. The only thing that's going to get me back on that train is almost 10 or 11 wins. That's going to be it. Anything under 10 or 11 wins, I'm done until they get rid of him. Anyway, it sucks being an A&M fan. It really, really sucks being an A&M fan sometimes. Of course, somebody, was it 2 years ago? Last year, 2 years ago? Of course, somebody's got to ask about the feud with Nick Saban. It's like, really? This is what you're going to ask him about? So somebody did, and of course, he pretty much said, that was a couple of years ago. I ain't worried about it no more. So he's excited about his team this year. Leadership is outstanding. This year, we have good experience. Young guys last year have something to prove. I was like, yeah, well, they do. Recruiting is going well, but didn't it go well last year and the year before? Have to get the ball to our playmakers. Yeah, I'll agree with that. Says he feels no added pressure this year. I guess with a buyout that big, you don't. Maybe next year and the year after, but yeah. Excited about A&M and UT rivalry starting back up. Most of us are. They grew up in here in Texas. That Texas A&M game on Thanksgiving, that was just a staple. And then, they quit playing, so now we get stuck with the Detroit Lions every year. But hey. So yeah, we're all excited about that down here. Excited Bobby Petrino is now calling plays. Current class didn't get the hype as the last class did, but they are good. Likes both quarterbacks, Wingman and Johnson, which I always thought Max Johnson would have started last year. But, I mean, he's great at LSU. I don't know what happened at A&M, but probably should have. Maybe he was hurt. Didn't he hurt his foot or something? I forget. He says, for success, you have to get players to understand the little things are important on and off the field. That's where great leadership comes in. Conditioning and getting mentally tough is the key for a grueling schedule. Spring football showed him the O-line is a lot better, and he has confidence in them. So, see if all the things transfer to the field. Like I said, I ain't holding my breath. I don't know. Thank God there's other teams I root for. Missouri. Eli Drinkwitz. He was next. A lot of people high on Missouri. A lot of people like Missouri. He says every year you have to rebuild the roster starting back in December. Believes they have built this year a complete roster. Defense will be good again. Questions at defensive end, though. He doesn't have questions there. Have to improve on the O-line. That's a given. Have to protect the quarterback better. And we have to be better at rushing on first and second down. Expects a quarterback battle between three guys. He says basically it's cooks to lose. Decided he wasn't giving his team the best chance to win, so that's why he hired an OC to call plays this year. Says he has no thoughts on AI in college football. A lot of them didn't. There's a couple that made comments about it, but a lot of them are like, don't know much about it, so next question. Wide receiver room has to improve. And then that was it for day one. Day two started off, hometown guy, Clark Lee for Vanderbilt. I've never really listened to Clark Lee speak, but I like him, man. He's a down-to-earth guy, humble guy. And after you listen to him talk, you would think, hey, I would not have a problem sending my kid to play for him and having him look after my kid. He's a really good guy. If you've never seen him give an interview, go back and check some out. He said, last year through adversity, we found flashes of success. Yeah, they did. Our goal is postseason play. Our players must push beyond their limits to get there. Some of the top players, some of their top players on that team, Vanderbilt was the only Power 5 scholarship that they were offered. It was all Group of 5 and other schools. So that's pretty cool that they stuck around and picked Vandy. Need to play better in defensive secondary. Veterans need to help the young guys kind of gel. He's happy with his receiving core. Wants every opponent to leave the game saying, "Damn, that Vanderbilt team is tough." I think every coach wants that. Hey, facilities are improving there. They kept talking about the guys on ESPN and Greg Sankey were talking about a few times. If you go to Vanderbilt's campus, it is construction orange everywhere. They are improving facilities, roads, all kinds of buildings, all kinds of stuff over there. So that should help with them with recruiting and all that kind of good stuff. Wants defense to shorten it down with a 4-man rush. Defensive unit is much improvement in the spring he saw, and likes his offensive line too. So that was Clark Lea Vanderbilt. Next up was Kirby Smart going for the 3-peat this year. Kirby Smart, coach of Georgia. He stated highs of highs is winning the national championship. Lows of lows was the off-season problem with the car accident that killed 2 people. And he wanted to thank everybody who gave all their support during that tragedy. Now, here's the thing. People were asking about all the, I think I set it down. Yeah. People are asking about, because evidently Georgia players have gotten a crap load of traffic citations, speeding and everything. He says he's very disappointed in all the traffic citations his players have gotten. And he talked about it a little bit. He even came up with, he said something to the fact that we gotta tell our players or tell them the difference between speeding and super speeding. And we're like, speeding and super speeding? I mean, even the ESPN guys are like, what? It's like he's almost saying it's okay to speed, just don't super speed. It's like, really? Because I've been a medic for 20 years. So I've seen people just speed over 10 miles, just 10 miles over the limit and were killed. So, I mean, speeding is speeding. If something bad's going to happen, it's going to happen no matter how fast you're going. But, yeah, that's what he said. Something to that fact that there's speeding and super speeding. I don't know. Complacency is our biggest enemy. We have to learn to stomp it out. Every full-time coach last year is back this year. Retention is the key to sustaining success. Can't read some of my writing. I was writing so fast. There will always be things we can do better as coaches, players, and a community. Very disappointed traffic citations. We mentioned that. Family time is big, he said. Always looking for ways to coaches to spend time with their families, whether that's bringing families to practice so they can be, with their family members, coaches, getting to know players, trying to make it one big family, which is cool because some of these coaches work 17 hours a day and shit, and it's like, no wonder why y'all get divorced. Shit. All right, so after that, Hugh Freeze back in the SEC at Auburn. Wasn't really any questions. I mean, the questions asked about him at Ole Miss were because of the way he ran things, offensive schemes, defensive schemes, stuff like that. Nothing ever really about the violations came up. So I guess people have moved on past that. He says, he's honest. He's like, I don't know how my team's going to be going into fall camp. This is an unknown. So, hey, he's honest right off the bat there. Loves the staff, love the recruiting job they have done, though. He says how a person responds after adversity tells you more about that person than how they respond after success. I agree with that. His culture there at the Ole Miss football program is based on faith, love, mental toughness. Says he's a good play caller, but needed some help. So he brought in Philip Montgomery for offensive coordinator. He said there's some times at Liberty that he probably could have called a better game, but anyway. Good quarterback room. Expects a battle for that position in fall camp. Must have great production in the wide receiving core, he says. So That was Ole Miss. Zach Garnett, Mississippi State, was up next. He's a good guy. I like that guy. Evidently, all the players wanted him after Mike Leach passed away. So that's always good to bring in somebody in-house. That way you don't have somebody from outside coming in. Especially after a tragedy like Mike Leach dying, the new leader of your football team knows how you feel and feels the exact same things with you. So that's I've always been for that. Bring in an inside guy, especially when the players like him. But he thanked Mike Leach, thanked the fan base and the university. He hired his OC Kevin Barbay because he said, because he said a bunch of OCs that he was interviewing for the job. Well, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And we're going to do this. He hired this guy because he said, I don't know what our offense is going to look like until I see who the best 11 players are. He said that honesty right there. Said, dude, you're hired. So that's pretty awesome. He says Mississippi State has proven in the past they can win and they can make that extended playoff format that's coming up here in the next year. Feels good about his front seven on defense, like what he saw in spring ball. Wants to continue Mississippi State football tradition, tough, hard-nosed football. He said a lot of Mike Leach's influence and ideas are implemented in the program already. They're going to stay. So that was pretty cool. Day 3, they call it Alabama Day because Nick Saban, whatever day Alabama's there, that's what they call it Alabama Day because of Nick Saban. Anyway, Nick Saban got out there. He went to Italy for vacation. He actually said he didn't really want to go. But it turned into one of the experiences. You know how you always say, man, I don't want to go do this. I don't want to do that. And you do it, you're like, hey, that was cool. Or it wasn't so bad. That's what going to Italy was. For an anniversary with him and Miss Terry. He said he's glad he went. He enjoyed it. He said he got roll-tided everywhere over there in Italy. People recognized him as a roll-tide. Even in the Ferrari plant. He said they took a tour of the Ferrari plant, and workers, the only English they know is roll tide, so they were yelling roll tide at him. So that's pretty funny. He said he had a good offseason, good spring football, still evolving as a team. Players are enthusiastic and committed. Mindset and talent are the keys to success, he says, and his players understand that. Wants players to be good at football, but also wants them to be great at life. So he always prepares his people for life. His team is hungry and motivated. There is a 3-quarterback battle that will be going on. None have separated themselves yet from each other, and they're not pushing for that to happen. They're just going to let it happen naturally. Because I remember after the spring game, a lot of the media were like, well, who the hell is their quarterback going to be? Because none of them looked worth a damn. So I guess we're going to find out here in a few weeks. Wide receivers and running backs have improved. O-line is young, but they have been improving. Defense will be young, but they're showing signs of improvement. Most proud of helping players succeed because of things that they have learned in his program. That's what he's most proud of. Relationship and leaderships are important when bringing in new coordinators. They've got to gel with the players. Otherwise, it just ain't going to work. They use their recruiting as number one team builder. They go to the transfer portal second. So they still doing that. Still doing the recruiting thing as number one. Only going to the transfer portal when they need to plug in holes. Next up, Arkansas, Sam Pittman. That guy never disappoints. He says winning the Liberty Bowl with 9 starters out showed him a lot about his team last year. Feels his team is tough and physical this year. Excited about the challenging schedule, he said. Tough schedules are a gift that keep on giving, he said. Yeah, because they seem to have a tough one every year. Expects defense to be better and aggressive. They will play a 4-man front and more man-to-man coverage. Transfer portal window needs to be shortened, he says, because it is affecting NIL. He's got great players on his offensive line. Time for the young guys to step up and prove themselves on Saturdays. KJ Jefferson will throw the ball more than he did last year in the new offensive scheme they're implementing. praised Mississippi State. Like I say, praised Mississippi State for hiring Zach Arnett. Said they got it right. Internal guy, knows how those players are feeling. He said they got it right over there at Mississippi State. He said he should have a good running back room. He likes his running back room. Next up, Florida's Billy Napier. He says he went through an extensive review of last season back in January, what worked, what didn't work. He says we have a different level of discipline and detail now. Next 5 weeks will be paramount for our team. He says he's proud of his group he has, great defense personnel, great defensive identity. He's impressed with quarterback Graham Mertz, who transferred from Wisconsin. Incredible work ethic. I saw Wisconsin play a few games, and Mertz was a pretty damn good quarterback. There will be a quarterback competition, though. He said they will be competing for it. It's not just anybody's. He likes calling the plays. He likes being hands-on. He says one day he may stop that. Recruiting pace, transfer portal, NIL is the biggest adjustment from the Sun Belt to the Southeastern Conference. Recruiting pace, transfer portal, NIL. Those are the biggest adjustments he's had to make. Safeties and tight ends. The groups are young but talented. That was all that really stuck out. Next up is Mark Stoops for Kentucky. Feels good about his team and the new guys. He says they need to improve special teams, so they brought in some staff for that. We have to get back to being physical, have to improve at the line of scrimmage, need to protect our quarterback better, need to be consistent, though, at all positions. All positions need to be more consistent. Happy with work ethic of the transfer quarterback, Devin Leary. Brought back Liam Cohen as OC. He was OC in 2021. Then he went to the Rams in 2022, so he brought him back. So we'll see, because they were pretty good in 21. 22, they kind of fell off a little bit. See if they can bring that magic back this year with Liam Cohen coming back. Wide receiver unit is one of the most skilled units on the team, he says. That was it for day 3. Today, day 4, the last day, started out with Lane Kiffin from Ole Miss. And I like listening to Lane because he doesn't hold anything back. A lot of questions he's asked, he will answer them where other coaches will answer them half-assed and then fade off to something else because I don't know if they're scared, they don't want to piss off anybody or what. But Lane, he says it like it is. 90% of the questions he got were about NIL and all that stuff. But he did open up saying I didn't do a very good job keeping our team together at the end of the year. I didn't do a very good job managing it, which it showed. They started off with a 8-1, 9-1, I think, and they lost Alabama, and then it kind of went downhill from there. So I didn't do a very good job of keeping them playing at a high level. So he took ownership for that. He says a lot of pay-for-play is going on now due to the transfer portal and NIL. It's causing massive roster overhauls. That is not good for college football. It's a poor system that's getting worse. He and staff went through a mental health training class, though. Probably not only to help deal with that, but help with players that may have any kind of problems. They went through a whole class this last summer, or in this off season. He said it's really, really beneficial. He says building a roster now is challenging with the transfer portal and grad transfers and NIL. I knew this was going to happen. When this NIL thing first came out, I said there's probably going to be talk and jealousy in the locker room because this guy over here is making a bunch of money and this guy over here isn't. And sure enough, he confirmed it. He's heard complaining from other players already about not making money, not making as much money as this guy. Knew that was just a matter of time before it was going to happen. He says NIL and transfer portal are a disaster. Something needs to be done. Something needs to get fixed. It has made managing player egos pretty hard. Last thing he talked about, back to football, 3-quarterback battle is going to happen in camp. Wide receiver core is good. Like he calls out NIL and all that crap like that. Everybody knows what's happening. Nobody seems to want to talk about it, actually speak the truth about it. He does. Whether you hate Ole Miss or hate Lane Kiffin, you got to admit, his grievances are probably the same grievances you have, and he's going to say something about it. So, yeah, love it when he speaks because he's going to tell the truth about stuff. Next up was South Carolina, Shane Beamer. Being a special teams coordinator prepared him to be a head coach, he said, because you dealt with everybody on the team, all kinds of different groups. Really likes his team. They are hungry to do better than 8 wins. 38 new players this year. Young team, so true freshmen will play. Have to be more consistent and on offense. Need to reload our defense. Should be pretty good on special teams, he says. This last year's team had the highest team GPA in school history. Pretty cool. Must improve on turnovers. I think he said they were last in turnovers in the SEC. We also must improve on running the ball and on stopping the run. Run defense has not been very good. Momentum from last season has carried on into this year, into the attitude of our team, and into our recruiting. So that's cool. Good thing. Looking good for South Carolina. And then about an hour ago, the last coach, Tennessee's Josh Heupel. He took the podium. He says we have overcome and moved past these NCAA investigation, which I don't recall any questions being asked about it. Maybe one that had a little bit of a hint into it. Oh yeah, it was one of the last guys to ask him a question and ask him about how it felt to have the state of Tennessee backing you up and threatening to sue the NCAA over penalties or something like that. And that was really the only question asked about it. We all know what happened. It's done, over with, put to bed. Tennessee's put it to bed. So all he said was we've overcome and moved past the NCAA investigation. He said our program is player-driven through great leadership. Our team is extremely hungry. They want more than they accomplished last year because remember, they were on fire last year. Beat Alabama, and then they lost to, Georgia they lost to, and then they lost to South Carolina. So his team wants to overcome all that. We want to become more physical at every position. Even the kicker, he said, got to become more physical. Quarterback Joe Milton continues to grow and understand different offense and defensive schemes. He had a great spring ball. Stability in staff. Stability in your staff is critical in building player relationships. Only lost 2 coaches this offseason. Rest of them are still there. The hard work Milton has put in has rubbed off on other players. So he's really happy with quarterback Joe Milton and what he's done for the team. So that was it for SEC Media Days 2023. Tomorrow, Pac-12 has their media day. They only have one day. I remember last year, I remember a lame-ass opening statement by the conference commissioner. He made a statement, and then he got there 3 other guys that get like deflecting questions. I don't remember if the coaches if they show the coaches taking questions from the press. I do remember them sitting outside with people from the Pac-12 network, and they were asking them questions about their team. So that's what you got. Next week, Big Ten, they have good media days. ACC, they have a 3-day media day. They got a pretty good media day, too. They don't suck like the Big 12s does. Anyway, so yeah, tomorrow Pac-12, next week Big Ten ACC, and that'll be it for media days. Almost done with the football preview. We'll be, after we do our media days coverage, every show we'll do a couple conferences going over our conference preview. But that is it. Man, Thursday's almost over. Tomorrow's Friday, thank God. We'll be back, maybe back Sunday to do a quick review of what was said in Pac-12 Media Day. If not, then we'll just throw it in next week with Big Ten and ACC. But we'll see. Anyway, y'all have a great weekend. Be safe. Have fun. We'll see you next time.